Do we even need new consoles? It doesn't seem to matter anymore. Remember when upgrading a console actually made sense? When you could actually see a difference between two generations of consoles. And if you wanted to play the latest releases, you couldn't just get the last gen version and get basically the same thing with slightly worse graphics and performance. It was exciting to think about how the next generation would look like. When did that change? When did the magic disappear? That is what we're going to explore in today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. We are almost 6 years into the 9th generation of consoles, which include the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. But it barely feels like the 9th gen has even started, with some games also being released on last gen consoles like the PS4 and Xbox One. Remember that thing? Yeah, that's right. Games are still being released in 2025 to be played on this ancient relic. And the worst part is they either cost the same price as the new games or for $10 less for a worse version of the same game. Now this is not new. We had the same thing during the PS3, PS4 era. You know, that transition period between the two consoles. But at least back then the console price dropped when a new generation of consoles came out. Like you could get a PS3 for 50% off or so. But now, I think the price went up on the PS4. I mean, it's just pure greed at this point. So, what went wrong? First of all, games don't look that different between consoles anymore. Honestly, it's becoming harder to tell how much better games look these days. I'm sure most of the casual customers can't even tell the difference anymore. Ray tracing is honestly a disappointment in my opinion, because it really doesn't add that much value to games. And in some cases, it's actually a terrible idea to enable it. I mean, sure, there are some people who love ray tracing, reflections and shadows being more realistic, but for me it's meh. I really couldn't care less how much better a shadow looks in a game. Is the game good? That's all I care about, you know what I mean? It's another thing if it objectively made games better, but I'd argue that art direction is way more important than realism. And some games look just fine on last gen because of the really good art direction in some games. And you can have both realistic graphics and really good art direction, don't get me wrong. But to make a long story short, I don't think we'll see a leap like the PS2 to PS3 or even the PS3 to PS4 was noticeable. I don't think it's possible anymore. For those of you that don't know, let me give you a sneak peek into the 10th generation of gaming. Basically, this is what the PS6 and the next Xbox will be trying to achieve. The latest breakthrough in graphical technology is called path tracing. It's basically super ray tracing. But this is what the PS5 looks like, and this is what the PS6 will look like. I mean, it looks a bit better, but not by much in my opinion. You really have to micro-analyze the footage. And if you're watching this in 1080p, you can't even see the difference unless you watch it in 4K. Now this is just how the next gen is gonna look. Performance might be a whole other story. The second point I want to make is FPS, or frames per second. This is basically how smooth your gameplay animation looks. Low FPS looks choppy, high FPS looks smooth. Previous consoles had a hard limit at 30 FPS, and people were used to it for years, but that all changed when the 9th generation of consoles dropped, which introduced 60 FPS gaming to millions of people. Honestly, I never knew I needed this until I got my PS5, because it's hard to see on videos, but gameplay is so much better at 60 FPS. If the next generations of consoles can guarantee 60 FPS, that would be sweet, but not sweet enough to buy a new console. Plus, the PS5 can already run some games at 60 FPS. Why would you want to upgrade something that performs roughly the same? It's like buying a new iPhone when the old one is just as good. The only difference is the new one has a new specific feature that the old one does not. Like the next thing I'm gonna talk about, which is frame generation. This is a tricky one to discuss because there's a lot of people who absolutely hates frame generation, and also a lot of people who don't really mind it. So what is frame generation? It is basically AI technology improving a game's performance. So if it improves game's performance, why do people hate it? It is the same reason why people hate AI artwork. It feels soulless and lazy to a lot of people. Also, AI is not perfected yet, so it can still make mistakes. That's why people don't like it, because they think game developers are purposely releasing unoptimized games and using AI as an excuse to not actually polish and optimize their games to the best of their ability. Just like an artist would take the time to tweak mistakes in their artwork until it is to an acceptable quality or the artist is proud of. AI eliminates that process, and it just gives you a picture with those mistakes included without really knowing how to fix the mistake. The result is you're going to get something that feels wrong and it can break your immersion. The next thing I'm going to discuss is the price. Look, gaming is not cheap for both the developers and the customers. We have all felt the insane inflation hurt our wallets these past few years, and gaming is no exception, with AAA studios going from taking 30 to 50 million to develop a game 10 years ago to now needing at least 150 million to do the same thing. This means that developers have to play it safe by releasing less ambitious games to recover the investments. The problem is games are more expensive now than ever before. This includes consoles, with the PS5 Pro costing $750, while only being slightly better than the base PS5 model. Honestly, it seems like the PS6 will not be worth it. I mean, the thing that made you buy new consoles, which is my next point, is console exclusive. Like, bruh, we got Forza on PlayStation. Do I need to say anything else? Just 10 years ago, people would laugh at you for saying that. Now it's slowly becoming the norm. Hell, even PlayStation is releasing their exclusives on PC, even though it might be 18 months later. If you have the patience, you can play PlayStation games without owning a PlayStation. And Nintendo is also doing its own thing by releasing new consoles when they feel like it's necessary, and not because of the industry standard 7 to 8 years. And it might be the only platform with true exclusives. But if you're not a Nintendo fan, PC is the way to go in my opinion. And if you don't want to deal with all the complex parts, you can just buy a portable. With machines like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, you can take your gaming on the go. Look, at the end of the day, it's a luxury problem. It's a luxury to play games, and it's an expensive hobby. So buy games on sale. You don't always need to be the first to experience something. Support indie games. Try new things. It's not that serious. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.